Adrian, for the people who have just clicked on this podcast and they've just started listening, why should they continue to listen to this episode?
It's a great question. I was thinking about it, and I think there's two reasons. One, I want to talk about just like we're going to touch on my story. And so just hopefully that encourages some people out there. And the second one is I think we're going to talk about AI. And I hope that helps people, because I think there's a lot to uncover for people. I think that people can really get some good understanding about what we do and then how that can help. So yeah, encourage people, and then just some practical tips.
I love it, man, and I can't wait to dive into your story, because it's very inspiring and interesting. So we'll start there. So paint the picture for me, the Adrian who started out whenever you did.
Yeah.
What do we need to know about that version of Adrian to discover the version that's sitting in front of me here today?
The old version. I grew up in Nelson Bay, so I was a small town, even smaller than Newcastle where we are. And so I'm the youngest of 7 kids, so a big family. And I think for a long time I was just out to try and prove myself that I was, I don't know, something. Didn't know what that was. I wasn't very good at school at all. Not that I don't think it was ever intellectually. Like, I think I could grasp what they were talking about. I just really hated the format of school. And so that led me to just be the class clown and play up a lot. And the teachers, I always had this great relationship with the teachers, but they also needed to do their job and discipline and make sure I didn't distract others. And so I got suspended a lot, and, just for doing silly things. And so I kind of that was a setting for learning and for school, and then coming from a large family. And then I just had heaps of jobs growing up. Like, I think my last count, like, I've had like 35 jobs.
Really?
It's like, I drove excavators, I worked at a fruit shop, I started working at Macca's, like, just all these different things. And I think I was just trying to really find out like who I was and what I was good at. Because definitely, like, teachers did say some things that impacted me, I think, as I grew up, of like, oh, maybe I am like just a disruptor, and that won't be any, I won't amount to anything. And now I've come to realize that that's actually been a real gift. And so the version of me, I would think I was always seeking. I went to study, and I studied audio engineering, and then started working in a studio, did live sound for a long time, and just found that wasn't me. And I just didn't enjoy doing that for money. I enjoyed doing it as a hobby or for passion. So I think deep inside, I was always trying to prove myself to everyone else. And then I got married quite young. I got married at 22 to Claire. Still married today, 2 kids, which is awesome. But I just started to settle and started to realize, okay, maybe I know who I am and what I'm good at. And so the version of me today versus the version of who I was I'm just more settled, pretty clear on what I want to achieve, and think I know how I'm going to get there. So yeah, that's probably a longer answer to a very simple question.
No, that's cool. It paints a picture, man. I like that. What made you settle, do you reckon? What flicked that switch inside of you?
I want to say, and to clarify, settle in the way of that I'm not out there going between all these different things.
Yeah.
I'm very settled in what, like, this is where I want to get to, this is what I want to achieve.
Of course.
I think family was definitely that. Like, having kids, that definitely makes you like, okay, I'm now responsible. When you're just married, there's a bit more leeway to experiment and try things, and but even then, like, that was pretty unsettling for my wife, just to change jobs. But yeah, I think for me, it's just been really clear now on like where I want to get to, what I want to achieve in life.
What's your advice to people out there, like especially young people, a lot of young people listen to this podcast that might be a little bit unsettled or you know, trying different things, trying to find out who they are, trying to find out that what their identity is and stuff like that. What's your advice to those types of people?
I don't regret, like, I actually like that I was like that. At the time, like, you know, people would say, just settle, like, just work one job, or just, you know, school very much wants to push you down a particular path and make you decide early on who you're going to be and what you're going to do. And, like, you just can't. And so for me, I, like, for young people out there, like, experiment, like, try things, like, get out there and fail at stuff and be like, okay, that doesn't fit, or that friend group doesn't align, and be willing to make big calls about who you want to be in the future. And I think having a vision of who you want to be in the future is really key, because most people, I didn't, and I've come to realize that now, but being able to go like, I really want to be this type of person. And it's not about success or have all the money, that comes later. But like, I want to be kind. I want to be like, I want to have a good, strong friend circle. I want to, like, those kind of character building things, and then your career and other things build outside of that. And so I think, like, finding that before you kind of go, I want to be a doctor or whatever, like that'll come. There's so many pathways to success. That's a word. I said that. There's so many paths to that now too. So whether you fumble early or later, like, you can redirect. You can try something new. You can go to uni later. You can be a tradie later. Like, I think everyone gets scared to make these decisions, or like they just get boxed in, and I didn't ever want to do that.
So true. Just quickly, out of your 35 jobs, what was the one you look back on and go, oh, I quite enjoyed that? And then what was the opposite of that? What was one that you hated? And then quickly tell me, like, the differences between them and what you learnt, how that changed you.
Yeah, I grew up going to church, and there was a guy there that owned an excavator business. And so he just would pull me out on a site and say, righto, get in that machine and go dig that hole. Like, that was fun. That was heaps of fun.
Yeah.
But it taught me heaps of lessons too, because there was one day where I was dumping road base into this property that was quite soft, and I took the digger too far, and I got the whole thing bogged.
Oh, no.
And I'll never forget. I went up to the boss and I was like, mate, like, I'm deep. Like, this is bad. And he just said, okay, you'll figure it out. And I'm like, what, you're not going to, like, help me? And he's like, you'll figure it out. And so there was this moment of like, how am I going to get this 22-ton machine out of this bog? Like, that was a moment of really thinking about that. So there was a lot of lessons there. I enjoyed that. That was fun, because you just
machines.
Yeah, like, I don't know. That was cool. The one I disliked the most, I worked in recruitment. Taught me a lot of good lessons. Like, I am glad I did it, but I could never do it again. I was recruiting accounting and finance staff, and it was when I moved to Sydney, and I was working in this office, and like, I get along with people, but I just didn't get along with this group of guys in there. As much as I tried, like, I was just very much the outsider. We just had to make hundreds of calls a day, which taught me a lot, but I hated the job. And I didn't last long. I just wanted to get out of there.
Yeah. How does Adrian get into AI? Let's start that story.
So had all these jobs, and then someone that owned a Telstra store approached me and said, would you like to come work for me and sell mobile phones on the shop floor? So I did that. That's the start of my sales career. And so I did that for ages, worked in Telstra licensee channels and learned how to sell. And then a particular product came out in Telstra that you could make a lot of money off. And so we figured out how to actually sell that over the phone really well. And so a business consultant that we were working with came in, and we built all these scriptings, and I saw a lot of success with when NBN got rolled out in Australia. And we were winning, we were doing really well. And then other Telstra stores around Australia started going, how were they selling so much? And so with this business consultant, I ended up resigning and then traveling with him, and I'd go around to Telstra stores and teach them how to sell on the shop floor and over the phone. And so that started my kind of consultancy. It was a period of time. And then not only was I consulting to Telstra stores, I started consulting to, there was cabinet makers, kitchen businesses. And then there was a couple of others. And then one of them was Run Gopher, which is the company I'm at now and part owner in. And so the founder that owned it, he got me to come in when it was just conversational SMS and said, can you teach us how to sell and give us a sales process? And so I did that, and then kind of expanded, bought in, started working full time, and then here we are. That was 5 years ago.
Wow. So let's just go back a little bit. That's crazy. You're at Telstra, you start learning sales, and then you go into more of a consulting kind of role.
Yeah.
What did the other Telstra stores say to you when you're teaching them this?
Well, they just wanted money. So
yeah, of course. But are they how do you learn? How are you doing this, and how are you teaching it to them and stuff like that?
Yeah. So there was a few groups that when NBN rolled out, all of the telcos around Australia, it was a race to try and get as much market share as possible. And when the NBN came out, it was a level playing field because everyone now had access to everyone in Australia, and people had to move across to this particular new technology. And so Telstra licensees around Australia just wanted to cash in on that, and Telstra themselves wanted the most market share out of all telcos. So you pair those two things together and it provides a perfect storm. Because if you start to show success in some way, they go, okay, how are you doing it? And so we built a script, and we traveled around and literally just took them through the script. We'd spend 3 days with all their staff, and we'd just go top to bottom in their script. We would do the opening line, and then we'll make them stop and try it again and try it again. And then, and then it just expanded. So Telstra stores everywhere. I was going to Broken Hill, and I was up in Brisbane. I was down in Melbourne, just everywhere. People wanted to cash in on this. So it was good. I loved it. It was a really, really cool experience, and mostly around how to teach people to sell. That was what I loved the most, of getting people in a room and them being green as in selling, and just be help them through a process, help them to understand that you can learn to sell, and seeing people succeed after that was really cool.
Yeah, let's go into that, because it was later on in what I wanted to talk about, but I think it's very important to talk about it now while it's up. Sales, because you are how to sell, because you're a gun salesperson. I've seen it firsthand, so I'd love to.
Thank you.
I'd love to dive deep into that and give the people some source on how to be a better salesperson, and how to sell. So paint the picture for me and the audience.
Selling's actually really easy, and I think that's where most people get unstuck. Is they go, selling, you have to do all these tricks and you have to try and stitch people up, and it's, in my opinion, it's just not true. And the way that I sell is always with the customer in mind, and so it is customer centric selling. So understanding that, can I help this person? Now, unless you're a bit of a jerk, you really do want to help. And so, and if you can't help them, then you can't help them. And so no sale happens. And so understanding that process of you first got to be really clear on what you do and how you do it and how it helps people. So if I'm a physio, it's a very, very easy to say I'm a physiotherapist. I help people that have that have been injured, or that are just need general mobility, and I get them to a place where they get more enjoyment out of life. It's a very simple thing to go, can I help you? Are you injured? Do you want more mobility in life? Yes. Are you a human? Yeah, I can probably help you. And so there's not much of a sell. It's just understanding, uncovering like, what are the needs of this person? What are the symptoms in their life currently that are causing them pain? And it's not all like, I mean, physio, it could be physical pain, but it could be wasted time. It could be, inefficiencies in their life, or whatever the symptoms are. And then taking them through a process just to ask them questions to go, okay, this is what's happening. This is how it's showing up in your life. This is the cost in your life. And then, but that's not what you want. There is some kind of future that you'd prefer. So what is that? And then if what I do or what I sell aligns with that, then you just simply give them an option. And so selling isn't, it doesn't have to be this big emotional stitch up thing where you're like high energy and just trying to force us out. Like, that's not selling. That's I don't know what that is, but that's not how I sell.
Yeah. No, and the way you do sell is like so cool and so effective, and it doesn't even feel like you're being sold to. And I think that's just because you genuinely just want to help people, and you see that firsthand. So it's more like a yes, I'm in like type thing at the end. But quickly break it down for the audience, like maybe like a 5-6 step kind of process. Like step 1, identify like just so we can paint the picture on what that sales process could look like for someone listening now, and they can implement that into their like strategy.
And everyone sells, like whatever industry you're in, whatever you do in life, like everyone needs to learn how to sell, because it's actually just learning how to have a structured conversation,
of course,
with a particular outcome. And helping people, like, and I always say, and you've heard this, is I would say, like, my job is just to help you make a decision that aligns with the future version of you that you want to be. Like, that is all it is. If it's a car salesman, do you see yourself in this car? Like, does that align with can you afford it? Like, all of these things. Yes. Okay, cool. Do you want to buy it? Yes or no? Like, it's very simple. And so there are like a few steps that the framework that I've designed is, understanding like, what is the current scenario? Like, just in your terms, what's going on? And so someone will talk about, like, if we use the physio as an example, someone will just talk about, I have this pain and this is my lifestyle and this is what I do. And then you would ask, okay, well, what are the symptoms?
So this would be step 2?
Yeah, step 2.
So step 1, ask like what their scenario is. Step 2, what's their symptoms or what's their pain points? Yeah,
what are the symptoms? How's that showing up in your life? Symptoms are like, I get creaky knees and I can't really bend down, or whenever I do this my back hurts, or like, that's the symptoms of what's happening, but it's not necessarily the cause of the pain is what we're trying to get to,
of course.
And so we talk about, if you're having a heart attack, you don't feel your heart, you feel like your jaw and your left arm, and like, there's all these symptoms, but if you follow that down, it's like you're actually having a heart attack. And so it's the same thing in sales. It's like there's all these symptoms that are happening around. Well, let's track that down. What is the cause of that? And so that's where physios really need to understand, okay, your left shoulder's hurting, but it's actually your right hip because you're just carrying yourself like this way. So they're like the best example of this, because you literally have to follow it down to go, this is the cause of your pain. Treat the hip and your shoulder will get better. And it's like, what?
Yeah, so true.
So step 2 is symptoms. Step 3 is uncorrected cost. And so understanding, if you don't do anything, what's the cost to you? And someone would be like, well, I'll still be in pain forever. It might get worse. I won't be able to play with my kids. I won't be able to surf as much as I want to. Like, there is an uncorrected cost in everything that we do. And so if you like compound it out over time, things don't just get better. Things likely get worse. And so in business especially, if you are bleeding money, the uncorrected cost of you not, either getting rid of staff or reducing expenses or trying to increase income, the uncorrected cost of that is like your business goes under. And so you got to really transport them forward to understand, like, if this continues to happen, bad things happen, or maybe good things happen, but we need to know that. And so uncorrected cost. And then you go, okay, step number 4 is what's the future look like? What kind of version of the future do you want? And so just let them dream. Well, I'd love to run around with the kids, and I'd love to surf 3 times a week, and I'd love to get back on the tennis court. Or in business, like I would love to hire more people. I'd love to reduce my time in the business. Like I'd love to open another store, or like just get them dreaming. Like what does that future look like for you? And then you go, well, what would that look like? Number 5 is, what would that look like if you didn't do anything and you failed at that? And it's like, well, I'd be really upset, and I would obviously still be in pain, and I would feel like a failure, and so you got to get this distance between future that they want and their reality now, and further down, like if they don't do anything, what does failure look like? Because we've got to help people see that there is a decision to be made, and you are there to help facilitate the decision. And so you move on to the next step, which is just like, well, what we do is this, and you just offer them help. You bridge the gap between often failure or the uncorrected cost or their current state, and what does the future look like? And you just go, what if I told you I could help you today? I'm got to, like, with your permission, like I've got to massage your hip, and we've got to stretch out, and you got to do some stretches a bit at home. But what if we could actually achieve that future? But you got to pay for 6 sessions. Like there is a cost to it, but like there's an investment in your future. It's the same thing. What if, as a business, you have a future, but you have a current reality? Well, we need a plan. We need to work with someone. We need to understand, like, what are the next steps to get there? That's not often free. And so understanding that, that's where the sell comes. It's just presenting options to someone and saying, would you like that? Yes or no? If they say no, okay. It's just you were really like pretty upset when you thought about your future without changing something. So, and this is where objection handling comes in. And so this is where people get a bit more, they don't like selling because they don't like to feel like they're pushing someone or being too salesy. And it's not that. It's just you're trying to remove objections out of someone's way to help them see a pathway forward. And it's often just repeating back the words that they've already said. You said this, but now you're saying this. Which one is it? And that's where you're helping people. Because you're actually going, hey, you're almost like calling BS on some stuff and going, do you actually mean this? Like, do you actually want that future? You want to like have $50 million in your bank? Well, like there's a lot of hard yards between here and there. Do you actually mean that? Or, and they go, oh yeah, well, no, I do. And so you just help them realign and go, okay, well, this is the decision you need to make. Yes or no? That's selling.
Bang. Someone clip that. That is just gold right there. Given out.
That'll help you.
100%, man. That's so good. And we were in Sydney 2 weeks ago, and I got to see that live broken down, and it was just gold. Like
that's good.
It's such a good, like, it helps so much. And like the biggest thing too, I feel like, well, myself, like when I'd get on a sales call would be like, I'd be talking a lot, and it's like, like, no, shut up. Like, yeah,
literally silence is your best friend in selling. Ask a question and shut up. Yeah,
dead set. And like, it's just that trick alone, like, ask some questions, identify why they're here and, what made them enroll in a sales call or in your services, and then find their pain points. And normally, if you are good, like you said, you should have a solution to their problem.
Yeah. Or you don't. And that's actually the best thing you can do is go, like, I can't help you.
Yeah.
Like we only work with this size business or this particular person. And so, understanding when to say no is key too. So you shouldn't just take the sale because money's on the table. Like, can you truly help this person?
Period. So you're at Telstra, and then you come across where you're at now, your business that you're a partner in.
Yes.
Yeah. How did you know it was like? Paint me the picture on when you knew it was time to go into that kind of next kind of season or chapter in your life.
There was no like, you know, we're talking 5 years ago and it's a conversational AI platform. So at that point, AI wasn't what it is now. And so I didn't have this big, oh, that's the future. Like that wasn't ever that. It was just life changed and this opportunity was there. And I was like, okay. And so that's kind of been my whole life, is just saying yes to opportunities that arise and just figuring it out. And that's probably why I've had so many jobs. I'm like, do you want to come and help drive excavators? I'm like, okay. Do you want to work at the fruit shop? Okay. Like just saying yes to stuff. And then if it doesn't align, I don't like it, I'm no good at it, then I just move on. And I think that's probably been one of the gifts, is just being not afraid to try something and just fail or just be no good at it and being like, okay, that's not for me.
You're not like necessarily attached to a certain ideology or outcome.
No.
It's more just see what it's like, and then if it does align, write it out.
Yeah, see what happens. And so there was no kind of moment. Life was just changing. We had some circumstances in life that we just kind of, the opportunity was there and I said yes. And and then it was into this new world of, like, I've always kind of been in tech, but like we were doing conversational AI with a technology called BERT AI, which is an old Google product from 2017 when it started. And you would say that to someone and they're like, what's AI? Like, but now everyone's like, what language model are you using?
More mainstream nowadays.
Yeah.
Over the last 5 years, what's been some of the biggest challenges with what you're doing now?
Heaps. So many. Building a technology company is really difficult. And it was hard enough before AI really took off. It's helped a lot, but it's also made it really stressful in that it has accelerated the market so fast, and there's just so much competition. And that has made it really interesting and really fun, but also really difficult at the same time, because it is fast. And so the biggest challenge is I'm not a developer. I don't code. And so running a tech company and relying on people to do all the coding and build the platform, when I don't, like, I'm getting better, but I don't necessarily understand everything that they're doing. And like, could we have moved faster and built quicker? I don't know. Like, could I have figured out ways to be more efficient? I don't know. Like, there's just so many unknowns. When we were, like, before we kind of did all this voice stuff that we're doing now, it was all SMS. And so you're playing, like, it's just a volume business. You got to find people sending a lot of SMS to make money. And in that field, there's just a lot of competitors, big companies that have got a lot bigger budget than I do. And so, yeah, that was challenging. And just growing a software like a tech company is really hard. And doing it without huge investment. Like, we didn't go and raise millions of dollars. So it's kind of just been bootstrapped and cash that we make. So yeah, heaps of learnings, heaps of challenges, a lot of fun. Like, I've really enjoyed it and am enjoying it, but it's different.
Of course. This was one of the first questions I put down in my script when I was thinking about what to talk about today. And it's a funny one. Will AI replace humans?
Physically, I don't think it will replace humans, although there are bots coming out. The soundbite would be yes, but there are some clauses involved in me saying yes. It will definitely replace a lot of the functionality of what we do, and we're already seeing that. And so, like, anything administration-wise, like, it is already good enough to do 90% of what we do. And it's getting better. And this is the thing with AI. It's not like any other technology where the time frame of which it gets better stays the same. So if you're developing anything else in the history of mankind. Like, you can build some efficiencies and get a little bit quicker at it, but not to the rate that AI can develop itself and in a shorter period of time. And so like DeepSeek came out and everyone was like, wow, like this crazy new model, and it was super fast. And it was 2 times faster than some other models purely because someone put in a prompt, can you do this twice as fast? And it was like, yes. And it just did it.
Wow.
And so like now you've got this compounding effect of technology and it's learning off itself now. And so it's just moving so quickly, and it's touching every industry. And this is the crazy thing about AI, is that like it's not going to replace a lot of what humans should be doing. It's going to replace a lot of what I love that it can replace, so humans can get back to being humans again and do really meaningful stuff. So like if it can be working, I was chatting to a school principal just last week, and he's on a mission to use AI for his teachers to help them get time back in their week, because they spend a long time doing reports and like marking essays and like just all this stuff that like AI can do it. And if that means that they could spend an extra 2 hours a week, 3 hours, 4 hours face to face with students, like encouraging them, like helping like build great humans, like that's awesome. So that's where will AI replace humans? It won't replace what we should be doing, and that is like really meaningful stuff with human connection, but it can do all the stuff that we don't want to do.
Of course, yeah. More use as a tool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, I've been dabbling. Like, I'm no serious AI person, but I feel like I've been like trying to utilize it in my business and what I do. And yeah, definitely, it's a tool. Like,
Absolutely,
it's not going to replace like me or anything, but like I can use it to better my service and business 100%.
Yeah, and you'd be silly. Like, there is still a little bit of this, which is crazy to me, but people, it's like you're cheating. Like, someone would think like,
like the mindset around it still is like, oh, you like, why are you using that?
Yeah.
Like, I get what you mean.
Why wouldn't I use that?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to read 300 pages of a document. Like, just give me the points that I need to know.
Yeah.
Like, but someone's like, oh, well, why didn't you read it? I don't want to read through.
Yeah, of course. Do you want to read it for me?
No, like, just give me the summary. What do I need to know?
Yeah.
Where is this dangerous? Where am I liable? And then let's act on that. So I think AI is, like, if you're not currently using AI, you absolutely have to dive into it. Yeah.
Are you worried at all about the future of what AI may bring for humanity, or you're not too worried?
I'm not worried about the technology. I'm worried about people that use it.
Of course.
There's some really cool things that are happening with AI in terms of, especially in defense. There is, what's the company name? I can't remember now. It'll come to me. But they're doing some incredible things with defense, and what does that look like using AI in sensors. And so they've deployed a lot of the things that they've developed into like Ukraine in the war and things like that. And so there's a really good side to it, but there's a dark side to it. And we've seen videos of, people posting, I'm a dad, so popped up on my feed of like, what happens if you post pictures about your kid, and how people can, use that image and using AI, like evolve the image over years to make them look like they're 16, and then use that in a really like negative way. Like, there is a dark side to it. It's technology, and not everyone's kind and wants to use it just for, good vibes.
Yeah, good vibes. I like that. Yeah, of course.
So I'm more worried about what it looks like in the hands of people that are not nice people.
Yeah.
Or looking to get some kind of edge in this world. But that's always been the case.
Yeah, with everything, right?
Yeah. Like, defense systems soon become attacking systems. Like, boats that are there to protect one are there to destroy others. Like it's always been the case. So I don't think it's anything new, but it's not to the scale that we've seen it. And it just, it looks very different for us in our future as younger people. So, but I'm also really excited about it.
It is exciting.
Cool.
Yeah, of course. It's 2025. If you're not using AI in your business, will you be left behind?
Yes.
How can, of course. That's a kind of a double-edged question, but so yes. So how can someone who's never, ever even embraced AI, how can they start implementing that into their life or business to help them?
The framework that I teach, and the easiest way to do this is look at what is most meaningful in your life. And so you kind of create this column or matrix around like family and friends and going surfing and going to the gym, like whatever's meaningful to you. And then the next column will be like, what is stopping you from doing all of these meaningful things? Like, is it I spend so long on the computer sending emails, or I have to read so much, or I have to do it? Like, what is it? List all those tasks out. And then you look at just low-hanging fruit, like what can AI take on for you? And it's like, okay, we'll use AI to summarize stuff now for you. Use an AI agent to help you come up with social media posts. Don't let them do it, but just like come up with ideas. Okay, well, that saved you 30 minutes. And so finding little windows of time in your week where you go, what can I do and where can AI help me get, let's say, 50% of the way there? Not the whole way. I don't want it to do everything, but it can summarize stuff. It can like give me ideas. It can post certain things. It can write things. It can help me check coding or check letters or just like all of those things. That's where I would start, is just let's help you get time back in your week. Before you go and do crazy like imagery and, automate entire systems, like let's just get time back in your week.
Get the basics sorted first. Yeah, 100%. So what are some of the softwares or some of the AI, I don't know what you'd call them, that you would look to use to implement? Obviously, ChatGPT, everyone knows and loves that. But like, what are some other ones that you would suggest that people look into and implement right away?
I spend a lot of my week on meetings, like on Zoom or whatever. And so I use a software called Supernormal. It records the meeting, it transcribes the meeting, it provides action points and who's said what in the meeting and who has that action point. And then at the end of the meeting, it sends it out to everyone saying, this is what we all talked about. And this is what you said you're going to do. Like that saves me so much time in my week of writing notes and going back over the notes and then putting that in, and like, it's just clear. That would save me 30 minutes every meeting that I do easily.
100%, yeah.
So that's one, Supernormal. I use ChatGPT tasks, and every day, because I like to kind of keep an eye on competition, every day it sends me a summary of where in the news voice AI has been spoken about, and it cites all the references and does all that kind of stuff. And so I can see overnight, like whether there's been announcements of new tech, whether a competitor has raised money or gotten capital, everything.
That's crazy.
And so it just helps me not worry, because I found myself Googling a lot of like other companies, and I'd go onto their platforms and I'd like look at, venture capitalists and who are they investing in and what's the technology. Like it just kind of put me in a spin. And so it just lays it out for me every morning. And somewhat, like a lot of the time I don't even look at it, but to know that it's there, that's a really cool peace of mind. Deep research is really cool. I'm really excited for when Agents is released in Australia with OpenAI.
Is that like the AI agents?
Yeah.
Like those like characters? Are they the characters? I always say it like ads of them.
It's this one is, it will perform tasks for you. So you can actually like say, book me a hair appointment, blah, 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 and it'll actually go and action all that. that's pretty cool tech.
Yeah. So that's not out in Australia yet?
No, just in the States. And like it's still early days and it's, buggy and it fails. But that's pretty cool.
Of course.
I used an app called Suno, Suno, just writing songs for my kids. It's an AI song generator.
Really?
They're eating peaches and jelly and we created this song and now they always want to listen to this particular song. And it's wicked. Like the song's awesome.
That's cool as. I spoke to a dude recently and he actually uses like AI like for his journaling.
Yeah.
Like, so he writes in his journal every day, then he has this AI like note taker or something, and it analyzes his thoughts and entry and then gives him a rating like out of 10 and just like tells him if he's going okay, like mentally.
It's great.
Also like reassurance, I'm sure it would probably give him. So when I heard that, I was like, wow, this is actually like really cool.
Oh yeah.
Like, the possibility, like what you could do with it is just insane.
And it's got access to everything. So like I use it heaps for transcribe this YouTube clip and then tell me what are the key points out of it and then merge like an Alex Hormozi and a Sabri Subi and a Dan Martell and all these people, merge that into one process and what would that look like? Like if you could have like the love child of all of these people into one like superhuman for sales or marketing or whatever it is, like that's been cool in business. But yeah, I do voice notes a lot. I talk to ChatGPT on voice mode and my line is, I'm just going to talk to you and I'm just going to get all my thoughts out. Don't interrupt me until I say the words I'm done, and then summarize it back to me. Like, what have I spoken about? And so in that conversation, I might write a social media post. I might talk about clients and a problem, and I've just verbalized all this stuff. It's there in transcription now, and then it summarizes back similar to that.
Wow.
But just not, it doesn't rate me based on my dribble of thoughts.
But still gives you the necessary information to then take on board and implement, right?
Yeah.
That's insane. That's so cool. You just mentioned someone and I wanted to go into this story because it's pretty cool. You just mentioned Alex Hormozi.
Yes.
Talk to me about him and how he's impacted your life.
How's Alex impacted my life? Alex, I mean, so there's two levels to this question. One is just in terms of his learnings and what I've learned, and then we've worked with him for a bit, which I'll talk about. But he is so good at articulating and building frameworks and making like complex really simple. So $100 million leads, $100 million offers, like they're just brilliant. If you're in business, you have to read those. And so he has been, and I'm sure many people would say this, alongside, like I love Dan Martell and Sabri Subi's book's been really cool, but Alex has been that. What you're referring to is we started working with him, and some of the details I can't talk about because it's an NDA, but we started working with him in one of his portfolio companies because we develop voice agents, so inbound, outbound calling using AI. Sounds like a human, and it performed tasks like qualify leads, book appointments, follow up, sell if you want it to. And so we started working with him out of a very random set of events. I commented on some other guy's Instagram post and I said, I can solve that problem using AI. He was like, prove it. So we got on a call and he was like, oh, this is actually pretty cool. I think my friend Alex would like this. And I didn't know that it was going to be him. And so he rocked up on Zoom and I was like, oh, that's Alex. So this is after his $100 million, which one was first, offers came out, and he was working on his second book, Leads. And so he got on and we just started talking, and he's been awesome. Like, he's a really lovely fella, really kind. And then leading up to his book launch, we helped with delivering voicemails and things like that in the States in the lead up to that. And he had like 500,000 people register for his book event, which is wild.
It's crazy.
And yeah, it's just been really cool to like profile aside, like just to get a sense of how someone like that operates.
Of course.
And how they speak on camera, like on a call, and what their expectations are. Like that's been really eye-opening. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I wanted to ask you about that. Like, are you able to go a little bit deeper there? Like, what are some of those things from just being around his presence that you've kind of implemented into your life?
He's really good at getting very clear on stuff. So if you say something vague, explain that to me. Like and so we're all on the same page. Like nothing is left open to like interpretation. It's like, what does that mean? Why did you say that? Like, and that's been really helpful for me in business, just to be really good at going, okay, is this clear? Like we've all just spoken about some things, like let's really articulate, like, what does that mean? Why are we saying that? His team are awesome. They are very good at training people. And again, just clarity in process, clarity in like who owns what, who's responsible for that. And so the project that we're working with, I work with like the general manager of this business, like head of projects for this business, and to a lesser extent, the CEO of this business. And I will ask a question, like whenever we get on a Zoom call, this was really confronting to me when I first, because we're Australians and we're laid back and we want to just have a bit of banter before the call.
And that's just straight into it?
Straight into it.
Yeah.
The first line that the GM says is, okay, we've made a 15-minute call, like there's a 15-minute appointment. What do you need me for? And what do I need to action? And so you're like, oh, okay, yep, straight into it. None of this, like, big swell today, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Straight in, and it's like, okay, these are the decisions we need you to make. And he's like, okay, and he'll make decisions on the call like this. And he's like, anything else? No, and then he'll drop off.
It's crazy.
Like instead of sitting on that for the next 8 minutes or 10 minutes, he's just like, he's gone. And then the next guy, okay, what do you need me for? And they just like clockwork, like, what do you need me for? What do I need to make a decision on? And what actions are we taking? Just like every time.
Straight to the point.
Yeah. Which I love, because some of our call times are like 1 a.m., 4 a.m. because of the time zone. But
yeah, of course.
Like, let's just get straight to it. I want to go back to bed. But yeah, I've like, that's been really cool to watch. They're good operators.
Yeah, of course. I wanna talk about, so at the start you said you're from Nelson Bay, which is a great place. We're here in Newcastle, which I love our city and where we're from. I wouldn't change a thing. I just think, you know, like where we are, a bit smaller, and it's hard to kind of feel aligned to like a lot of people. Sometimes it's easy for people here to feel like an outlier in terms of who they are or their like vision and what they kind of want in life and stuff like that. So I just want to ask you, you're a guy from Nelson Bay who's been chopping it up with Alex Hormozi. I just want to ask you what your advice to like people listening now that feel that similar kind of restraint. I'm not going to say it's a restraint, but feel that similar kind of vibe, being an outlier from a smaller town.
Yeah.
How do you break free of that and reach your potential?
I think first understanding that you have permission to be different, and that you don't need to follow the same path as everyone else. And this isn't ever been like some great moment, and it wasn't like, you know, coming in contact with Alex is just like, that was a fluke, like just by a sequence of events. But what I've always been very aware of is that we're all just humans, and that we are also like, that just proves just how like you're only 2 steps away from like an Alex Hormozi or whoever it might be, just through like one Instagram message. Like that's all it was. I didn't know this guy that I sent a message to. I followed it. His name's Ryan Fisher. He's like an awesome. He's become close over time too, but he's like just this fitness guy, like a gym guy from the States that I just followed and have forever, and just thought he was awesome. And like he was like introduced there, and then I got another call, and there was other, you know, guys with big names on there, and I was just like, you're like 2 steps away from these people. And so I think nowadays more than ever, just understanding that the world is so small. Like you're only like a message away from someone saying, yeah, let's work together. And it's like, so I think being like unapologetic and just being like bold in your approach to, like, I'm going to ask that person if I can work with them, or I'm going to ask them, can I do this for you? Or like everyone thinks it. Oh, I'd love to work with them. Well, message them, email them. Like, what do you got to lose? For me, that's always kind of been my approach, is like, it doesn't matter who's in the room. And probably because I'm the youngest of 7 kids, and my oldest brother, he'd be like 50 this year. So quite an age difference. And so talking to people like has never been an issue for me. And I just like, well, what if they say yes? Well, now I get to work with them. Like, so I think just getting beyond the fear of like rejection. If you're going to be in sales, if you're going to be in business, like you're going to get rejected. People are going to say no. Like clients are going to leave you. Like that's just life. So you just got to accept that that's going to be the case. But like, just get out and have a crack. Like that's one of the biggest things for me is I just want to try. And so I'll send the message. I'll walk up to the person. I will ask whatever it is. I'll do what I need to do. And if the road is like, if it's a dead end, then it's a dead end. Turn around, try the next street. Like, so for me, especially in a town like Newcastle, like nowadays it doesn't matter where you are, but the key is finding people that you align with as well. So bigger thinkers, people that are, you know, have really got a particular future in mind that you align with, that you want to try and challenge yourself with to achieve, and find those people. And sometimes you got to, like, there is a saying, like, you got to pay to be in the room. And so getting around people often means that you're going to have to buy a ticket and sit there and watch how they work and who they talk to and how they talk and how they hold themselves. And like, you learn a lot too by just being in the room and watching successful people walk in. Okay, do I want to be like him? No. Or her. Like the way they hold themselves, they didn't have time for people. Like for me, it has to align with who I am too, and the character and who I want to be, and how I want people to feel when I've left the room. Like, have I made them feel like, have I been kind and been encouraging and trying to be like present, or yeah. And so like aligning with people that are successful and watching them and go, oh, they're actually a really nice person at the same time. Like, you can achieve these things. And then thirdly, like, it's just do the work. Like, effort is rewarded, but you got to put the effort in. And it is, you got to play the long game. Like, if you're wanting overnight success, and like there's every Instagram follower or influencer at the moment, it's like, especially with AI world at the moment, they're like, we can build a bot overnight, and we turned an AI agency into $1 million profit over, like, you didn't. I know what it takes to build these bots, and they're either really horrible or you're just lying, and most of the time they're lying. And so just like play the long game. Like, where do I want to be? And just put the blinkers on and be like, that's where I'm going.
So well said. That was a really, really good sequence there, that I just feel energized listening to. Alignment's so important.
Absolutely.
I think it's everything, in my opinion. And I would just challenge people, pardon me, sorry. I just challenge people to, just send that message. And, you know, if you see someone online, like you said, your access to them is one message away.
Absolutely.
You can literally be in contact with people you've looked up to, you know, for years. Like, I still can't believe some of the people that I have in my circle that are now global, like building a global network of people that I've looked up to for years. And it's all because of basically what you just said. So yeah, I just challenge people listening out there now to don't shy away from that. Don't refrain from that.
I think put action to it too, like, because everyone will listen to podcasts, and this is what I kind of hate about podcasts and YouTube and all these things. It's that, like, there is so much knowledge, and you have access to, like, you could build a really great business overnight just looking at the content that is available online. Alex Hormozi's channel, or Sabri Subri's, or Dan Martell's, or like, anyway, the list goes on. They outline everything, how to build a great business. And most people go, awesome.
But they don't apply it.
They just never action anything.
Yeah.
And like, one horrible thing action today is better than nothing. Like, just take the step. It doesn't have to be perfect. Get over yourself. Nobody actually cares that much. Like, just do the thing. And being really audacious about going after the vision that you want for your life. Being like, that's what I'm going after. Like, I don't care. Like, for me, it's about my family. Like, I want that future for my family. So I don't care what this guy says or that guy says, or couldn't care less. Like, that's the future I'm going for. And the only people that care about me are the ones I'll listen to. So, I mean, I say that in some cases. Definitely get a mentor or something. But you know what I mean? Like, just have a really, like, bold future, vision for your future, and just go after it.
Amen. What's a common mistake you see business owners like make, or mistakes that you see, young business owners like make in your years of consulting and being around a lot of different types of people?
Yep. Often just too slow to make decisions would be something that I would put it down to. They just get caught up in perfectionism, or it has to do this, or the product has to look this way. And like, you just got to make decisions quickly in business and just live with it. And that's the only way that you move forward. Like, and that's why, like, I was talking about those meetings with Alex's team. They're just so quick on, like, what decisions do I need to make? They could be the wrong decision, but a decision made is better than one that's not. Like, and so just, especially in business, make decisions, like, and get around people that help you make better decisions, because that's what you do as a business owner. Or your job is, how do I make the best decision with the information that I've got, and then act upon it and redirect as you need to. That's just it. I think people move too slowly on stuff, so they don't make decisions, or good decisions. They make them slowly, and then they just don't action. Just don't do the work. Get the reps in, and like I say this, and I'm still young, got a lot to learn. So this is definitely not coming from I'm doing everything perfectly.
Of course.
But the things I've learned is when I've sat too long on something, the opportunity's gone often. And when I just labor on what's the best way, like, it ends up being worse than had I just actioned it to begin with and just move on. Like a LinkedIn post. Is it perfect? No. Who cares? Like, it's actually about the volume game. Like, that's all it is. Actually not about really whether it's good quality. Like, you definitely want to help people and make sure that it's, there's some value in there, but just play the volume game. Just do the repetitions.
Because if you're making decisions like on the dime, on the click, you're potentially either winning faster because you've made it there and then, or you made this decision and it was bad, like, turned out to be a bad decision, and you've failed, or you've lost money, or whatever.
Yeah.
But you've actually then recognized that, and it's sped up your process in actually failing. So therefore, now you're going to come back and you're going to redirect.
Absolutely.
And it's going to push you actually forward faster than, I'll do it in 3 months. And then, like you said, 3 months, the time's already passed, and the opportunity's lost.
Yeah.
Where you could have said yes, it'd be a bad decision, you failed, a month later, you redirect and you pivot.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know if I explained that right, but I heard
that's pretty good.
Someone say that recently, and it really clicked with me.
Yeah.
Like, learn to just make decisions faster and fail faster
Yes.
so you can win faster.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, especially in businesses now, is just like I'm in a few like business groups, excuse me, and the game's changing a bit too, especially with AI. Like access, and this goes back to one of your other questions, like, you know, if someone's not using AI, they're getting left behind. Like, yeah, you are, because people are putting out more content. They're being able to like develop product quicker. They're able to adjust product quicker. They're able to get feedback quicker. There's just so much about like the pace of business as well. And not every industry is like that. Some industries you want to be really considerate, like health and,
Yeah, of course.
you know, like there are, you know, choose where you are and adapt. But the game's changing, and it is a one global market now. It's no longer just the Australian market and the US market. It's like, no, we've got access everywhere.
Yeah.
Like I'm building product for the US clients. Why aren't they using a US based business? Well, because we're just in one market now. And so you have access to that. You have access to those people, but you also then got to realize that you got to level up, because you're playing now. Your competition's much bigger. I'm playing, you know, my competition is some guy in Indiana as much as it is in Sydney. So, yeah, it just changes a lot.
What's one thing you'd tell your younger self?
I was thinking about this, and I was like, I wonder if I'd tell myself to do anything differently, or whether I'm quite happy with where I've landed. Because every decision that I would have changed back then puts me on a different trajectory.
Of course.
You know, like apply myself more at school. Well, it probably would have pushed me into uni.
Yeah.
Do I, like, who knows
Yeah.
what that fit? But my younger self is it's probably all around character. Like, be kind to people.
Yeah.
Look after yourself. Don't talk ill of people. And I mean, it gets deep, but like a lot of my upbringing, I was like trying to compete with my siblings, or be noticed, or
Yeah, of course.
be more successful than them, or prove something to them. And like it helped in some ways, but it probably, like, there was a point where it's not a healthy thing. And so, like, I think just if I was going to say anything, is like, don't look sideways. Like, just stay in your lane. You are who you are. Your path is your path. You're not competing here against anyone but yourself. And that's probably what I would say to my younger self.
I love that, man. That's so well spoken, so well said. Picture your younger self in where I'm sitting right now. What do you reckon he would say to you?
It's a good question. I think he would say he's really proud. It's a deep question.
It's a good question.
Makes you want to like tear up.
Yeah, of course.
What would my younger self say? I think he would say he's proud.
100%.
He's like, there's been some decisions that I've made that, like, I'm really happy with the outcome. Like who I married, my friend circle, some things that I stuck with that, you know, when others were saying like quit. Stuff where I'm like, yeah, I'd say proud.
You got through that.
Yeah.
That's so good, man. What holds you back?
I mean, when I speak, I'm very confident. I'm aware of that, and I say things very absolute. And I think in a lot of ways you need to do that, just to, this is what I think, move on. there are still elements where I'm like, I do look sideways, and I do compare. And there still is a bit of a fear, and like I'm playing in a field where it's pretty risky. Like there is a bit of risk, and there is finance that's tied up, and so sometimes that holds me back of making like, oh, that would be a really bold decision. Like, do I have it in me? I think what's held me back the most is often the classic, like what others think. Like it is such a human condition to look sideways and or read a comment, or like someone wrote on my Instagram the other day, like I was talking about AI and someone said, I actually found it quite funny, but it was like, you look like an AI. I was like, I don't even know what that means.
What a little rude little rascal.
Just like, but it kind of made me giggle, and I like was a smart ass back to him. But then I did have a moment of like, does everyone think that? Like, what does that even mean? Is that negative? Is that good? And it's like these little moments in your day that it's like it may not linger and you may not think about it for days, but it is that moment of doubt, or
of course,
just like a second guessing yourself, or
of course,
but again, like I've got a vision of what I want for my life, what I want for my family, and some dude saying, "Do you look like an AI?" Like, who cares? It's probably a bot. I don't know.
What helps me with that is like, because I've got like shit like that as well. Like, who's this young kid on my fucking screen? Like all this random shit. First and foremost, fuck no. I'm just kidding. No. What helps me get over that is one, like, does it actually matter? Like, is it coming from someone I care about?
Yeah.
No. Two, it's like it's a bit of a kind of two-sorted play, but like you'll never, like, for me to take time out of my day and comment on someone else's post and especially say something negative, I find you're only doing that if you're not really doing much with your life. And I don't want to come across like really mean or anything, but from my experience, most people that are trying to grow and trying to better themselves and trying to do what they love, and in alignment with who they are as a person, they're not commenting on mine or your posts trying to bring you down. If anything, they're doing the opposite. They're trying to bring you up with them. So I reflect on that and go, well, maybe they're like in their life, they're just a bit lost. Yeah. So that helps me get over that too as well. And I just want to say too, I don't want to come across like in a bad way as well. Like if that, but anyway, it doesn't really matter.
You know, but like your future, if your future doesn't align with their future or what they want for their life, and like, then you'll come across misunderstood. Yeah. Because you've made decisions, like you rock up at a set of lights and you're in a beat up ute and someone's in a flashy Ferrari. It would be easy for the guy in the Ferrari to look and go, oh, what a piece of trash. Yeah. Not knowing that you've just invested your money elsewhere and you've got this massive portfolio of companies, or maybe just really content in your ute. And like whatever the path is irrelevant. But to cast judgment says more about you than it does on the person you're casting judgment on, because you don't know someone's situation. And it is that. It's like the people that I hang out with, the people that I'm, go to conferences to see speak, or businesses that I've seen, do really well. They're not trashing people online.
No, man.
A, they don't have time for it.
Yeah, exactly.
B, that's just not who they are. Like they want to see people succeed. And when you whatever level of success and whatever that looks like for you, you get to, you realize the hardship it took to get there. And to see someone on that same path, you can't be anything but gracious and encouraging to go like, I know what it took to get here. So like, try this, do that. Like, and so for anyone that's casting shade or like being, abusive or whatever it is, it's just like your paths are just not aligned. And I'm the same as you. I just look and go, lol. Like, too much time on your hands, bud. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
What's one thing you're trying to get better at?
I'm trying to be a better dad always. And that balance is hard, like running a business and being married, having 2 kids. Like, I'm trying to be a better husband and a better dad. That is like first and foremost.
Yeah.
Often that clashes with other things I'm trying to get better at, like, you know, run a better business, get more revenue, make more money, and money for the sake of like that's a indicator of people like our product and it's successful and it's working and it's changing lives or helping people.
Yeah.
So often those two things conflict because to run a better business often means you need to spend more time in it. Spending more time means you become less present with kids. Like, it's a really difficult balance. I'm also I'm working with a coach this year who's helping me be a better business owner. He's coached CEOs and things like that. And so really helping me look at the moment we're working through like some of those things, like what's important in my week and how do I prioritize time, and then it will be like how to be more strategic, how to think more strategically, how to have, new frameworks in my week to help me like grow business and think forward. And so I'm trying to level up in all aspects, but it's really hard.
Yeah. I feel like I relate to that, and I feel like most people will. But you'll get there. You'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. But it's hard.
The thing that I'm just learning too, man, is like you look at people and you go, "Damn, they've just got it figured out, haven't they?" But then when you get to talk to them, and or you be around their similar group and stuff, or just successful people, you go, they're just winging it like myself.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, no one's truly actually got it like figured out. That like I feel like most people we're all just trying to figure out life.
Yeah. I was at a conference recently, and Simon Beard, he still part owner of Culture Kings.
Yeah.
He exited. It was $600 million. Like, it's a lot of money. He was interviewing Hudson, who owns Comfort Clothing, and he's 26.
Wow.
He will do $500 million in sales this year.
That's crazy.
Just off like jumpers and trackies.
Yeah.
Or sweatshirts or whatever they call them.
Yeah, the US, they call them sweat. Yeah.
It's $500 million. And so I'm sitting there and I'm like, you've got Simon who's extremely smart, very successful, done extremely well in retail, and like Hudson refers to Simon as like the OG, like the king of retail. And Hudson's talking about how he's building this, and he's got 6 staff. And 6 staff. He's got all these like people. He doesn't use influencers. He only uses like everyday people to do all the content. And talking about his system, he's got 5,000 ads in his ad account running at any one time to scale this business. Like, so he's talking about how he's running his business, and you're watching Simon just go, I wish I knew that. Like, he's still learning. And so like you're always learning. You're always like, you'd never figured it out. And so this guy, if Simon's still learning about retail and how to sell and do all this, then like, we're all in it together. Yeah.
Well said. That's crazy too, might I add. That's a crazy story. Define success for me. I've done 10 other episodes and everyone said a different answer.
Yeah.
And that's why I really like this question, because your definition of success could be so different to mine, and it probably should be, really. But define success, and what does that mean and look like to you?
Thought about this a lot, especially recently, because it is interesting when you are in a business and a lot of your friend circle's not. Like, I'm lucky I do have a lot of people in the similar, like, you can talk about money and you can talk about deals at a certain size, and it doesn't feel like you're showing off or trying to, that's just life. And that's, so I've been trying to think about like, what is success for me? And there is probably like, there is success is in multiple factors that combines into one success. And so I talk about family. Like my dad always said, you don't see a hearse pulling a trailer. So like the stuff you accumulate here is not going with you. And so again, like family and how you make people feel, and like friends and like experiences and stuff. And so success to me is my kids want to hang out with me when they're older and I'm older, and that. So that's success, and that's ongoing. Some days not so successful. So that's part of it. So like personally, to have a really strong, healthy marriage, still be married, like that's no easy thing.
No, yeah.
But then in business too, like I do want to grow a great business, and I do want to exit and make some great money.
Of course.
Like I do. That for me is, that's, you put a lot of hard work in, you want to see that come to fruition. And that may not happen, but along the way, there are things that I can be like, that was a success. So our product and growing team, and seeing team, like, then get team under them, and like it all plays into like this one kind of end goal of numerous things, and success in life looks like a lot of different things. I feel like I said heaps of words then. But success to me is not just like, I want to earn $1 million. Like that's not success. Because if it comes at the cost of something else, like your marriage or kids hate you or whatever, is that really success? Like maybe for some, kudos. But for me, that's failure, because I haven't managed well or held in tension all of these things that actually ultimately are the success. Like I was able to grow a great business, have great team, and see them thriving, have great friends in my life, and have a really strong, healthy home, and be healthy, like physically. Like that's success, because you're holding in tension all of these things at once, and it feels hard and difficult, but like that's where you feel fulfilled.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. You in one word.
Me in one word. Me in one word. I feel like I always answer your questions with some kind of, I have to provide context to everything. That's not the point of this question. Me in one word.
I do want you to elaborate, but like,
okay,
I
cool.
don't know why I chose
That's
that.
helpful to me.
Yeah.
Right now, driven.
Why?
Probably to my previous question, our answer was about holding
your pillars of success.
Yeah, holding in tension all of these things.
Yeah.
And sometimes it just feels like it's like getting 5 people to hold a hula hoop and not like, and hold it in tension, but no one move. And like the hula hoop gets bent out of shape and people shift, and like that's kind of what that feels like to me. And so driven is going, okay, how do I hold this whole thing together? How can I be a great dad, and all those things I've spoken about. But you have to be really driven to see that, to put the time in and the effort in. And I fail all the time. And sometimes all at once. But I am driven to be the best version of myself in all of those spheres. Whether now or in the future, or maybe never, but I am driven for that to be the goal and the outcome.
I like it. Yeah, that's so well said. This is the What's Your Why podcast.
Yeah.
So, what's your why?
What's my why? I think there is still that little kid that was spoken about that is still inside going like, I wonder if he could. Like, I wonder if he could actually achieve those things. I wonder if you could really like sell that business or build that thing or be that person, or So my why is definitely that. My why is definitely my family. Like, why do I do meetings at all hours of the night? Like, I want to feel like I'm achieving something and doing something and building something. And I also want it to benefit my family.
We have a closing tradition on this podcast, inspired by Stephen Bartlett, of course. So it's where the previous guest writes in a question for the next guest. So this is what they wrote for you. What is something you thought was a truth for so long until you had an experience that broke it? It's a good question too.
That's a very good question. What was a truth you held for so long until something broke it?
Yeah, an experience broke it.
The only answer I have for this is deep and personal.
That's good. That's fine. Share as much as you want to.
So my wife and I went on a journey of infertility. And so our son, actually our both kids in different ways, but so our son is adopted, our eldest son.
Yeah.
We only have one son. And so the truth of like family is only made up of one particular way. Like, not that I was ever naive to that, like, and family is made up in all these different ways, but like that journey really opened my eyes to some people that just are doing it tough. And the truth that maybe at one point I thought I was better than someone else, or that I was, I would make better decisions, or, can't believe they're in that position in their life. Like, there was a lot of judgment definitely growing up too, of like just white middle class in Nelson Bay. And then going on the journey of infertility and then through adoption, and it just opens your eyes up to just, there's a lot of pain in this world, and people have a story that you just would never know unless you sit down and talk to them. And so nobody is better than anyone else. And that's probably one thing I thought about, like, oh, well, they just made bad decisions. Well, they did, but like, life is not easy for everyone or anyone. And we all make decisions, and it leads us down a path, and we end up with the outcome of that. But I think for me, it was, around that. I've said heaps of words that don't really answer the question, but like that journey definitely opened my eyes and made me like really look at humans very differently, and hopefully be a kinder human, less judgmental, understanding that, everyone's got a story, and just being more curious about that than dismissive of it.
Well said. Well said. What's to wrap this kind of episode out, which has been an amazing conversation, and I appreciate your time being here, and
pleasure. It's been great.
Just sharing your story. I think that's what I get out of this, just sitting down for an hour with the person across from me and just letting them, unwind their life story. And it's just, I just get so inspired each time.
It's cool, hey?
So yeah, and it's an honor to listen to you, to, your journey so far, and you've got so far left to go. So, and I can't wait to see where that takes you. But what's next for you over the next, 12 months or couple months? What are you focusing on? What can people expect to see from you?
Yeah, we have an AI platform, and for 2 years we've been really building this thing, and it's been a lot of hard yards, and we finished it like 2 weeks ago.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's amazing.
And so now it's just really about growing the business, and onboarding new clients. And in our world, there's two types of companies. One is like companies that handle inbound calls. So doctor's receptionist or whatever it is, someone calling in with a particular thing in mind. That's much easier than outbound, where you're doing cold calling or trying to do appointment setting. I want to be the leader in outbound voice AI.
Mm-hmm.
It's much more difficult because you're calling people off guard. They don't know you're calling often. Maybe they don't know who you are. And so training AI to have that and handle that conversation is really tough. So next 12 months is to really like run Gopher, to be like really have a crack and onboard some cool clients like that we're working with at the moment. And hopefully, be the leader in that outbound voice AI. That'd be cool.
Amazing. Really, really good episode. Thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure, mate.
And I appreciate everyone listening, watching, your kind messages of support. And if you're new here as well, I appreciate your time listening to a young kid talk shit. Basically.
Old young buck.
Yeah, but anyway, so yeah. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.
Peace.